Hey everyone, welcome back. If you're tuning in, it's probably because you're like me. You want to get to the heart of what's happening in tech without wading through all the hype.
Yeah, totally get that. Cut through the noise, right?
Exactly. So today we're going to take a deep dive into something pretty fascinating, and that's the connection between ArcBlock, this new thing called MCP, that's the Model Context Protocol, and the whole idea of decentralized AI.
Sounds a little intimidating, but honestly, it's a pretty exciting space. We're going to try and make it as clear as possible.
Definitely. And we've got some great resources to work with today. We've got ArcBlock's FAQs. They're super detailed. And then we've also got this fantastic interview with Robert Mao, ArcBlock's CEO.
Yeah, he's a real visionary, honestly. The interview was full of insights.
So we're talking about three main things. First up, ArcBlock, that's a platform for building these decentralized applications. Then we've got MCP. Now, MCP was just introduced last year by Anthropic, and it's being touted as this kind of universal translator for AI. It's all about making AI models work smoothly with different tools and data.
Like a USB-C for AI is how I've heard it described.
Perfect analogy. And finally, we're going to explore decentralized AI, which basically means running AI not on these giant centralized servers, but on distributed infrastructure, more democratic.
Yeah, definitely some interesting potential benefits there in terms of security and control.
Absolutely. So our mission today is to connect these dots, make sense of how these things all fit together. Why should we care? What's the big picture?
And we'll do it without getting too bogged down in the techie jargon, hopefully.
Exactly. Okay, so let's start with MCP. What is this thing, and why is ArcBlock so excited about it? I mean, they're really making a big deal out of it.
So MCP, this Model Context Protocol, is basically an open standard. And the goal here is pretty simple, really. It's to allow all these different AI models to communicate and work with tools and data outside of themselves, and to do it in a standardized way. Like, think about it. Before MCP, each AI model was basically speaking its own language when it came to interacting with external stuff.
Right, so that sounds like a nightmare for developers, right? Just a total mess.
It's exactly total chaos. And that's why ArcBlock is so into MCP. They see it as the solution to this massive interoperability problem that's been holding AI back. It's like we're finally breaking down these walls between different AI systems and creating this much more open, collaborative environment.
Okay, so kind of like what HTTP did for the internet back in the day.
Yeah, that's a really good comparison, actually. I mean, think about it. The internet totally exploded once we had this common language for websites to talk to each other. And that's what MCP is trying to do for AI, create that same kind of universal language so everything can connect and work together.
That makes a lot of sense. And I know Robert Mao, ArcBlock's CEO, was really passionate about this in the interview. What were some of the key things he was saying about MCP?
Well, for him, the biggest thing is that MCP solves a really fundamental problem for anyone who's building AI. Because up to now, there's been no standard way for different models to use these external tools. And he's worried that without MCP, we're just going to end up with this world where only the biggest tech companies with their own proprietary tools can really succeed in AI.
So almost like stifling innovation because everyone else is locked out.
Exactly. He sees MCP as a way to level the playing field, to give everyone a chance to contribute and build amazing things with AI.
So let's talk about how ArcBlock is actually putting MCP into practice. How are they integrating it into their platform?
They're baking it right into the foundation, alongside their DID protocol.
DDD?
Yeah, Decentralized Identifier. It's their system for digital identity.
Right, of course.
And what's really cool is that their blocklets, those are the building blocks for decentralized apps on ArcBlock, are being designed to be both MCP servers and clients.
Wait, so a blocklet can offer services to other AI systems using MCP, but it can also use other MCP services.
Exactly. It's a two-way street.
That's pretty ingenious, actually.
Right. It makes them incredibly versatile. Basically, a blocklet can say, hey, I'm good at this particular thing. Any AI that understands MCP can use me. But it can also say, hey, I need this functionality. Who out there can provide it?
That's really powerful. It's like this massive network of AI capabilities all talking to each other.
That's the vision. But there's a catch, of course, because any new technology comes with its own set of challenges. And one of the big ones for MCP is security. Because, the initial version doesn't really include any built-in mechanisms for security, authentication, or payments.
So kind of like the Wild West of AI communication.
In a way, yeah. And that's where ArcBlock's blockchain expertise comes in. They're planning to use their DID protocol to add that missing layer of security.
So basically allowing AI agents and these MCP tools to verify each other's identities.
Yep. And for secure payments between AI agents, they're exploring blockchain-based solutions as well. It makes sense. I mean, if you're going to have these AI systems interacting and exchanging value, you need a secure way to handle those transactions.
Makes sense. Robert Mao was talking about this in the interview, right? He was saying that DIDs and MCP are a good fit.
Yeah, he actually said DID and MCP, they make great couples, which I thought was kind of funny.
He's got a point, though.
Definitely. DIDs are all about establishing trust and verifying authenticity, which is exactly what you need in this MCP world.
So we've been talking about this from a developer's perspective, but what about the average user? How are they going to experience this MCP world? Are they going to have to become experts in AI protocols and blockchain?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
ArcBlock's vision is that MCP will work behind the scenes, just like all the other internet protocols we use every day.
Yeah.
We don't need to know how TCP/IP works to browse the web, right?
That's true. We just expect things to work.
Right. And that's how it should be with AI too. So developers will be using MCP to build these amazing AI-powered applications. But for the end user, it'll just be a seamless experience.
So kind of like 5G, right? We just get faster speeds and better connectivity without having to understand the technical details.
Perfect analogy. And that brings us to the question of ArcBlock's role in all of this. Are they just adopting MCP, or are they aiming for something bigger?
I have a feeling they're aiming bigger.
You're right. They definitely see themselves as more than just an adopter. They want to be a leader in the MCP space. They want to actively build and shape this ecosystem. So they're making it super easy for developers on their platform to create and deploy MCP-compatible tools. They're also partnering with other companies to grow the MCP ecosystem. And they're even building their own services, specifically leveraging their blockchain know-how to address some of the limitations of MCP, especially around security.
I remember Robert Mao talking about how MCP unlocks a whole world of possibilities for developers on ArcBlock.
Yeah, he was basically saying that any AI tool built with MCP can now be integrated into the ArcBlock ecosystem. So it's like this massive expansion of resources and capabilities for their developers.
So if you're a developer, it sounds like ArcBlock is the place to be right now.
Seems like it. Especially if you're interested in building decentralized apps with AI.
Which brings us to the next question. How is MCP going to change the game for DAPs, for these decentralized applications built on ArcBlock? What are some of the new possibilities we're going to see?
So the really exciting thing is that these blocklets, remember, those building blocks for DApps can now become MCP services. So imagine a whole universe of AI models being able to tap into the unique functionality of these blocklets. It's a level of interoperability and collaboration we've never seen before.
So essentially, DAPs will be able to become way more intelligent and adaptable.
Exactly. Which is kind of the whole point of decentralization, right? You want these applications to be more dynamic, more responsive to user needs, and MCP can help make that happen.
Now, we've been talking a lot about the technical aspects of MCP, but it's also important to think about the broader implications for things like data privacy and security, right? Because we're talking about AI, and AI is all about data.
Absolutely. And this is another area where ArcBlock's blockchain expertise comes in. They believe that blockchain can play a huge role in securing AI interactions and protecting user data. And they're actually already building this vision into their platform. So in short term, we might see AI agents using cryptocurrency for micropayments as they interact with different services. But in the long term, it goes way beyond that.
Yeah.
We're talking about using blockchain, DIDs, and verifiable credentials to create AI interactions that are completely transparent and auditable.
So basically giving users more control over their data in this AI-driven world.
Exactly. It's about empowering users, building trust. And that's really important because as AI gets more powerful, we need to make sure that power isn't concentrated in the hands of a few large corporations.
Couldn't agree more. And speaking of powerful AI, one of the big challenges is scaling these applications. As AI gets more complex and data hungry, how do we make sure it can keep up?
That's a great question. And this is one of the biggest arguments in favor of decentralization. Centralized AI systems, the kind run by these big tech companies, can run into real limitations when it comes to scaling. They hit these bottlenecks, costs go up, things slow down.
Yeah.
But with decentralized AI, you can leverage the power of a whole network. It's inherently more scalable.
And I know ArcBlock has put a lot of thought into this. They've built their platform, things like their launcher and blocklet server, with scalability in mind, right?
Absolutely. They're designed to handle massive amounts of data and traffic. And this is crucial because if we want to see the true potential of AI, it needs to be able to scale globally.
Robert Mao was talking about this as well. He was basically saying that AI and decentralization are a natural fit. AI needs a ton of computing power, and decentralization is the best way to provide that.
Yeah, he was also saying that decentralization is crucial for protecting data privacy in a world where AI knows so much about us.
That's a really important point. So, looking ahead, what does all of this mean for the future of building dApps on ArcBlock? How will MCP change the game for developers?
So for one thing, it's going to make it way easier to build really sophisticated apps
Hmm.
because now you have access to this huge library of AI tools and capabilities through MCP. You don't have to build everything from scratch. And Robert Mao even went so far as to say that he sees a future where AI agents are actually contributing to the development process.
Like AI code developers?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Imagine that working side by side with AI to create these amazing decentralized applications. It's a pretty mind-blowing concept.
It is. But he also made another really interesting point, which was that even with AI becoming more advanced, there's still going to be a need for reusable frameworks and components like these blocklets that ArcBlock has created. So platforms that have these strong ecosystems of reusable components are going to be in a really good position moving forward.
Totally. It's not just about the raw power of AI, it's about having the right tools and infrastructure to harness that power effectively.
So to sum it all up, it seems like ArcBlock is making a big bet on this convergence of AI and decentralization, and their adoption of MCP is a key part of that strategy.
They're definitely all in. And I think for the listener, the takeaway here is that this is a really exciting space to watch because this combination of open standards, decentralized infrastructure, and powerful AI has the potential to change the way we interact with technology in some pretty fundamental ways.
More secure, more user-centric, more accessible to everyone.
Exactly. And the thing is, we're really just at the beginning of this journey, so who knows what amazing new innovations are going to emerge in the years to come. It's a really exciting time to be paying attention to this stuff.
And on that note, I'll leave you with a question to ponder. We've talked about how MCP and blockchain can revolutionize technology, but what about the bigger picture? How might this convergence reshape the very nature of our digital interactions? What new possibilities will it unlock? And what new challenges might we face? It's something worth thinking about as we move into this brave new world of decentralized AI.
Food for thought, definitely.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.
See you then.